Today's devotion is titled We the People, and we're on day 173, and we're on June the 22nd, and we are on the very last day of Job. Our morning rinse is those last few chapters of the book of Job. 40 through 42 are the chapters. So go ahead and read that. You will enjoy that read. And the featured verses include Job 42:10 through 11. This is so exciting. I love this featured verse, or these two featured verses. Here is what it says. The Lord restored the fortunes of Job when he prayed for his friends, and the Lord increased all that Job had twofold. Then all his brothers and all his sisters and all who had known him before came to him, and they ate bread with him in his house, and they consoled him and comforted him for all the adversities that the Lord had brought on him. And each one gave him one piece of money, and each a ring of gold. So his three high-profile friends had condemned Job publicly. And, it made it easy for the people to watch in agreement. They probably knew Job better than anyone in his life, so it was easy to understand why the people in the land believed what these men were saying. And they even joined in with all this condemnation. But on the flip side, when God rebuked these men and they publicly repented of their false accusations with a sacrifice, it was also easy for the people to follow suit and be a part of Job's restoration. So we know that God rebuked these men, and we know that they came and repented of all of the false accusations of accusing their children of Job's children doing something causing death, and accusing him of all the things that he was accused of. God rebuked them, and then they realized that they had falsely accused Job, and they gave a sacrifice. And so all the people followed suit, and Job's restoration began. There is power in unification, both for good and for bad. We, the people, can bring harm in our words and in our actions, and yet, equally so, we, the people, can bring restoration. And soon after his friends brought these public sacrifices, Job prayed for them. Regardless of what they had said, all of the accusations, hours of, them accusing him of horrific stuff, not just questionable behavior in his character. No, they were accusing him for hours, and Job had to sit and listen. And, I've talked about this whole entire process of walking you through Job. And then Job prayed for them, and God began restoring Job. How did he do this? Well, the people were restoring him financially. They were bringing rings and things of value, money, all of that. He was restored. Twofold, he was restored. This showed the world the truth. When God steps in and rebukes people who are, doing these types of things, it shows the truth. We may not know all of the wealth that came to Job, and we don't know if all of it was restored, but it said in the featured verse twofold, so I will have to assume that his wealth was also restored. But many blessings were brought to Job by the people. And it was not just a few who brought money and gold to Job. It was every single person that knew Job from way back. Every person brought him gold and money and blessings, each one responded in this fashion of giving to Job. Can you imagine if every single person who knows you gave you these types of gifts to help you get restored in any type of fashion? The very people who had cast Job out, the very people from the lowest to the highest in status, were all part of the restoration. It was the people who condemned him, and it was then the people who God used to restore him with double the amount of wealth he had before. No one withheld their gifts. Not one person. The power of we, the people, is shown here for the world to see. What a way to end the book of Job. What a way. It is heart-wrenching to read the things that he went through, from his illnesses to the accusations to losing everything, and all of the hurt that this one man had. And even his wife, was not, was questioning things as well. I mean, he was literally alone. There was no one walking through this trial with him other than God. He was alone. Everyone turned their back on him, condemning and joining with the friends and making a public display of condemnation to this man. But boy, when God's voice comes in and when God begins to correct and align up what is happening, when God brings about the restoration through we the people, I can't imagine what Job was feeling like. But you know that he was already a seasoned believer. It would have broken probably any of us. And yet he stayed. And remember, he said, I know that my Redeemer lives. And he stood firm in that, and he did not fall short, and he did not cave. He did not break. So your challenge today to dig deeper is this. Do you know of someone who needs to be restored from false accusations? Could God use you to bring about that restoration? If that is the case, if you know somebody that needs some level of restoration today, choose to be a part of we, the people. Choose to be a part of it. And when you pull out your journal tonight and you are reflecting and writing down what this day was, the end of the book of Job, the end of all of his accusations and challenges and being talked about and, negatively accused of things and cast out and questioned, all of it came to an end today in our morning rinse. And it started something new with Job, and he was restored twofold. So when you're writing this down, what has God spoken to you today about being a part of we the people? Is there someone that God brought to your heart to maybe give something to? Maybe there's somebody who's going through a challenge and they need some hope. They need some level of restoration that begins today. Maybe there's somebody who has been challenged financially, relationship wise, whatever it is. Maybe there's something you're supposed to give to them to bring about restoration. And maybe your giving will also show them a picture of God and who Jesus is. You never know what life you're going to change. You never know how this story can affect others around you. But choosing to be we the people and binding together in unification for the good will restore, just like it restored Job. And I hope today inspired you. I hope this whole entire book inspired you to rise above what these men we're saying, and rise above all of this story and realize how powerful it is to be a part of someone's restoration. And, they publicly gave a sacrifice because they were publicly condemning him. And, God sat in silence through a lot of it. And when God finally spoke up, it changed everything. It changed it all. So as we close out the book of Job and move on to the book of Joel, continually keep striving to use your voice for good. Use your voice for things that could bring about restoration. And speaking of voices, tomorrow I will have a guest speaker on. And so you'll want to tune in to that guest speaker. As some of you who watch a lot of Christian movies will recognize him if you follow along on his journey or follow along on the YouTube channel that I post these on. You will recognize his face. He was in the movie Running the Bases with me. He was in Courageous and some of the Kendrick Brothers movies. And so I've known him for a really long time, and he's coming to talk about the book of Joel with me. And so I can't wait to have him on here and to allow you guys to see a friend up close. And so go and enjoy your day today as you build upon the book of Job. And I pray that you are used mightily in someone's life for restoration. And obviously, if you do not know, by now, you know that in the show notes, there is a link to get my devotional as well as the companion journal, and use these for daily growth. And obviously, if you are not caught up on the podcast, or if you're not caught up on the Bible reading, there is no better day to start than today. So just jump on in. Just jump on in and restart if you got a little behind. Until tomorrow, keep rinsing, reflecting, and repeating. God bless you.